The date, the 10th of November of 1961. The place, a skyscraper on Fifth Avenue, New York, from which 26th floor have a wonderful view of Manhattan skyline. I'm in the office of Dr. Joseph J. Eller. Dr. Joseph J. Eller is a New York dermatologist of international reputation. He's the author of many articles on skin diseases and a textbook on benign and malignant skin tumors. Dr. Eller is also Director General of the Pan American Medical Association. During December of 1933, Dr. Eller contributed to half of the fare and expenses to help Carlos Gardel come to the United States. Shortly after his arrival, Dr. Eller arranged a luncheon at the Metropolitan Club in New York City, which was attended by the 20 Latin American Consul Generals. During the luncheon, Mr. Gardel sang songs which caused a great ovation. Dr. Eller also introduced Carlos Gardel to the son of Governor Morris, who became later one of his managers. Dr. Eller, I understand that you have heard of Gardel's reputation before 1933.
Yes, I'd been to Paris in the late 20s and heard Mr. Gardel sing in a club called Florence's.
Now, I wanted to ask you, how did you get interested in financing half of Gardel's trip to the United States?
A Brazilian family, friends of my wife's at the time, came to me and said that they'd like to help Mr. Gardel come to New York so he could negotiate to do pictures here and give concerts. And as I'd had such a fine impression of Mr. Gardel's voice at the time and felt sympathetic towards his needs, I was very glad to contribute half of the expenses to come here with no obligations.
Do you remember any anecdotes that you had lived with Gardel? You were just telling me about an operation that you performed on Gardel's skin, on the face.
Mr. Gardel took very good care of himself. When he arrived, he asked if there was any club where he could exercise. He said he liked to play with the heavy medicine ball every day in order to keep his weight down and to keep fit. He also came to my office to have the skin on his face treated. He had some enlarged blood vessels which were very easily removed, and otherwise Mr. Gardel had a very good complexion, a very fine appearance. He had a striking personality and a wonderful speaking voice, and everybody who met him here seemed to be charmed by him. I felt that he would have had a great career in the moving pictures, and I felt great sadness when I learned about the accident which caused the loss of his life.
Dr. Eller, did you know Hugo Mariani of NBC?
Yes, I was. Hugo Mariani was a very good friend of mine. At one time, he had his orchestra play for a dinner dance for the Pan American Medical Association. We had 1,400 people present at that function, and Hugo and his orchestra contributed their service as a compliment to the Pan American Medical Association. This association has been in existence since 1925. It has branches in every country in the Western Hemisphere. The organization was established to interchange medical knowledge and research among all of the doctors of the Western Hemisphere. They give scholarships out to various doctors to come here to study for 3 years. They hold medical congresses, sometimes every year, other times every other year. And this association has chartered ships 9 times to go to Latin America to give lectures and teach and hold congresses with the doctors in those countries. One of our trips was to Rio de Janeiro. We took a charter the Queen of Bermuda and went to Rio de Janeiro on a 35-day trip. We had meetings in Rio de Janeiro with the doctors and also in Sao Paulo. And this has been sort of made very goodwill among the countries by the doctors getting together and trying to understand each other and help each other. It resulted in, and we believe that this movement has done a whole lot to cement relations.
Dr. Eller, do you remember of Gardell's success over his singing performances on NBC?
Yes, we have the NBC, the people, some of the officials whom we had met there at that time thought he had a very great voice, and if he hadn't died, I think he would have been one of the outstanding entertainers of America.
So you do believe that if Gardell could have made pictures in English, as he was supposed to do, he would be today a very popular figure as other world-famous figures?
I certainly do. I think Gardell would have had one of the greatest careers in the moving pictures if he had lived.
Doctor, you mentioned the name of Morris. What would you comment on that?
At one of the my house parties, Carlos Gardell came there to sing, and everybody was so tremendously impressed. And one of the young men there, the son of Gouverneur Morris, was a distinguished writer in this country, attached himself to Gardell and wanted to help him in every way with his contracts with the motion pictures and his concert tours, and also with radio work. And he was going to on this tour with Carlos Gardell when Mr. Morris's mother became seriously ill and he couldn't go, and this was the reason he was not on the plane which crashed and killed everyone on it. Incidentally, Gouverneur Morris has what we call a charmed life. Shortly after that, he mentioned that he would like to go on a fishing trip with his mother and father, and I recommended and laid out a trip for them to go to Cuba and do some fishing outside of Havana, and to return by via the steamship Morro Castle. On the return from Havana to New York, this ship became on fire off Atlantic City and burned to a crisp, and all those who couldn't get off the ship were burned to death. And Gouverneur Morris jumped off the ship, held on to a rope for 6 hours while it was burning. His mother, and he had no life guard because he gave that to his mother and father, the one he had, and they jumped overboard and swam to shore. Afterwards, a boat came up and picked up Gouverneur Morris, who held on to that rope. While he was holding on to the rope, upwards of 50 people dove off the ship and were killed. So I would say this boy certainly had a charmed life twice.
So he was spared the first time of dying on Medellin's airplane crash. And Dr. Eller, I appreciate the time you have given me for this interview. I understand you're a very busy person, and I'd like to close then this words with some final statement of you about Gardell, the personality and of the man and the artist.
Well, I think that if Mr. Gardell had lived another 10 years, He would have given so much pleasure to the millions of people, not only due to his acting, but due to his wonderful voice. I still hear his records wherever I go. I'm delighted to play them at home, and no one can ever tire of that great voice.
Dr. Thank you very much.